Everybody, welcome back to a special Saturday edition of Fantasy Baseball Picks from FSi DFS. I'm host your Mega Ruler 31. I've got an 8 game slate here, so let's kind of dive right into it. First game, we have the Yankees and the Orioles, who are both been struggling recently. Yankees put up a couple runs last night. Judge had a home run. I know there was a little extracurricular activity there with Kerstead getting hit in the head by a pitch by the closer Holmes. I don't think it was intentional. Bench is cleared. I don't think there'll be any suspension or anything. Hopefully he's okay and in the lineup, but we'll see on that. But today we have Gill and Grayson Rodriguez. I don't expect any retribution in this one, but we'll see. Rodriguez is too good of a pitcher to try to get thrown out there, so maybe later in the game. But I think the starting pitcher is okay. Um, Gil, he's struggled recently, and the Orioles have a decent lineup here. I know it's more of a pitcher's park here, but they've done some damage at home. Definitely 91 degrees. Wind is minimal, so it's really not going to be a factor there. So I think that between the two pitchers here, Rodriguez, I think I really like. The Yankees, even though they've hit a little bit, are still struggling. And I just maybe GPPs. Bat wise, Yankees would probably be a leverage set because I think Rodriguez is going to be one of the higher owned pitchers if people are paying up. And the Orioles are my favorite GPP stack there against Heel. Oakland and Philadelphia. How does Oakland keep on hitting? I mean, they're blaming it on the Ranger Suarez is like being broken or something yesterday, but for some reason, like, Oakland consistently has been hitting. But Mike Spence and Tyler Phillips here. Spence, I'm not going to touch here because Philadelphia, it's going to be 86 degrees here. Like a little bit of rain maybe early on, delay if anything. It should be perfectly fine. Um, it's looking a lot better than it did when I first started to break down these stats a couple hours ago. And Phillips on the other side has had a couple good starts here, and I think that against this Oakland team that has a very high strikeout rate, that he should be very popular in his pricing range at 66, 6.6K. Oakland, I think you got to play him in a GPP just because they do keep on hitting. Like Lears has been good. Lawrence Butler has just been on fire with power and hits and speed and everything. So probably stick to the top of the lineup like Obade, Rooker, Langeliers, Butler. Maybe if you want a fifth guy, figure out who works in your lineup, but I'd probably stick to those four. Philly, I think you make a case for it's the top stack on slate here. Expensive, yes, but Schwarber, Turner, Harper, Stott. And Turner got thrown out of the game from arguing balls and strikes, I believe, but I mean, he shouldn't be suspended. He should be back in. Um, Marsh, I mean, there's so many options here against this Oakland team, so fire away at that one. Washington and the Brewers, Mitchell Parker and Dallas Keuchel. Mitchell Parker, I mean, I think he's in play here because the Brewers have struggled with left-handed pitching. They've done well against right-handed pitching, but not as good against left-handed pitching. So, and he's been solid this season. So, and I think he's got a lot of win side here too because Heigel's like a horrible pitcher, and I think that and the Brewers kind of have a neutral bullpen. So Nationals could get out there and hold a lead, and you're not going to get the best part of the Milwaukee bullpen if they're trailing by a lot. If Cargill just goes out there and just gets destroyed. Now Washington doesn't have a ton of power. We saw that in Colorado, but we do see that they can put up runs. So in bunches on occasion. They're very pesky and they hit well. Good fundamental team. So Washington is probably my second favorite GPP team. Uh, Deep team, and I think the Brewers would be my first favorite. Pitching wise, Parker, you can play in GPPs, definitely, and Keuchel, I'm not touching. And I think both teams make some cheap bats. It was a toss up here. I mean, just leaning at the total, I guess I gotta go like Milwaukee, but I'd probably stick to the righties, like uh, Chirino if he leads off, Contreras, Adames, Hoskins, Perkins. Ortiz if he's healthy and back in, and then for Washington is to be the righties also Lane Thomas. So Wood I'm okay lefty and lefty. Ramirez, Riley Adams a catcher. Yepis, some different. I don't think I play 6,100 for Abrams leading off, but I mean if you got the money in a GPP, go for it. Next up, we have the Marlins and the Reds, Eduardo Cabrera and Andrew Abbott. I see a lot of like ownership projections for Cabrera. Just don't understand. I know the Reds have some strikeouts at the bottom of the lineup, but like Reese Hines has been fire. He had a grand slam last night. He's just been doing really well. So I know there's some K's in the Cincinnati lineup. I don't know if I can really go there. I put him in the cheap category under Phillips, and I don't think I'm gonna get to him. But I'll have to see there. Abbott on the other side here against the Marlins. I can definitely see it, but 91 degrees, wind blowing out of the Great American Small Park. It's always a danger. But I mean, Miami's been so anemic that I think Abbott definitely is in play for a starting pitcher. And if you don't want to pay for G-Rod against the Yankees, you can go nice and balanced with like some 8K guys here and make a really nice lineup today. So that wise, Miami would probably be a leverage stack here, and Cincinnati is going to be my third favorite stack of the day. Kansas City and Boston. This one has probably the biggest rain chance, but it's down to like 20% at 4 o'clock. So, and the game doesn't start till like 4:10. So, like late start, they have plenty of time to play into the evening. They should be fine. Seth Lugo's had a decent season, but lefties in this Boston team kind of scare me a bit, especially with the wind blowing out 11 miles per hour, being 84 degrees. And Cutter Crawford, he's been okay, but this Kansas City team could put up runs. They put up like 5 or 6 last night. Just like speed, power. They've got like everything going for them right right now. Sometimes they just fall off the map, but then when they come back, they remind you that they can be a decent offense. And I think we might see it again against Crawford. Plus a 9-3. It's just the price is just too high for this matchup. So Kansas City bats, they would be my second favorite GPP behind Baltimore, and Boston is my fourth favorite top stack here. Sticking to the lefties, Duran, Hamilton, Devers. You can play O'Neill, but I mean that just starts to make it expensive. I usually pay up for Devers and Duran if against a righty, and then I'll throw in like a Reese McGuire, do a wraparound thing there. Dominic Smith, Abreu, Yoshida. I try to get the cheaper lefties in to make it work, so I can get some decent pitching and not have to punt everywhere else just to get the top five Red Sox bats in my lineup. It's okay if you go 4-4 there too, if you can't find a fifth Red Sox. I get it. Guardians in Tampa Bay, Gavin Williams and Zach Littell. I don't really like either of these. Well, actually, yeah, I do like Gavin Williams a lot against Tampa Bay. Sorry. I think, has Tampa Bay is just not the offense they've been in the past. They've had some injuries and stuff, but I think, really losing some players to free agency and just like the injuries and not having the chemistry, and Wander Franco, losing that bad out of their lineup with his legal troubles. I just hasn't been like what they were a couple years ago when they were contending for like the division and World Series. But so Williams, I think, is decent. Cleveland's got the elite bullpen against them too, so he's got some backing behind him. And Zach Littell, I I think you can play in the medium range, but Cleveland's just not like a ton of power, but they hit well. They don't strike out. It's just a very well disciplined team, and I think that it's not a great matchup for a pitcher. So Williams, yes, Littell, no. Cleveland bats, definitely in the GPP. I think they only have a four total here. 375 for them actually. So it's a little bit low. I think if you're betting, you can bet the over on that one. Again, I try to stick to lefties, so I take Quan, um, J. Ram, Naylor, uh, Jimenez, and probably maybe Angel Martinez just because he's so cheap in the middle of 3-4 there. Tampa Bay, same thing. I just stick with the splits. Like Lau Predis is decent on both sides. Low. Rosarina, I'm skipping over. I don't know what happened to him. Palacios, Revolt the catcher, maybe Taylor Wall. So just some cheap fill-in pieces there, if anything. Colorado at the Mets, another rain game potentially, but it's only like 30% at the start, and then it tapers off really quickly down to the teens. So this game should be fine. Delay, if anything. Feltner, absolutely not. Christian Scott, again, is another one that has had some decent starts to start his career coming up. Rockies are a great matchup. I know they put up a bunch of runs last night, more than we expected, but it's a pitcher's park, and I think Scott has what it takes to be successful. And I think he'll be quite popular also. Probably one of the top five owned pitchers on the slate. Because I said if you go balance here, like Abbott Scott or like Williams, like Parker, like in that like mid range there, those like top four make a like you to be able to get like a lot of decent bats, and I think they have some pretty safe floor for cash. So Colorado is just going to be leverage stack against Scott because again I think he's going to have ownership, and then the Mets, the bottom of the lineup. Like I stacked the Mets so many times last night, but I didn't have as much of the bottom as I needed. Vientos had a home run. Iglesias had two home runs. Bader had home runs. It was all the bottom of the lineup that was doing the damage. So don't count them out in this matchup here, and again, it makes it pretty cheap. So, yeah, I'll let you see in a few as we get to it after the next game that the Mets are going to be my primary cash stack, and I'll show you like I took some of the lower bats just to be able to get some pitching in. So don't be afraid to stack like do like a 6, 7, 9, 1, 2 wraparound stack and leave like JD Martinez and Alonso out against the righty. Um, there's no lefties in the Colorado bullpen besides the closer, or maybe just one if they change anything, but they've always traditionally had more righties in there. So uh, I even though the other guys are righties and they've hit well um, yesterday, I think if you want to save some money, stay on the bottom. But really, there's not that much of a discrepancy because like it's only like $700 between Alonso and Vientos, so the pricing's starting to catch up on the bottom, but I think it's still cheap enough to make things work. Final game, Battle of Texas, the Rangers and the Astros, Evaldi and Arrighetti. Evaldi, I think you can play here. Just Houston's been banged up. I know Alvarez is back, but he's still not 100%. And Tucker's still out of this lineup, and Altuve and Bregman are still there, and some of these other guys, like I think Myers had a home run last night, kind of have some power on occasion, but I think Evaldi's a decent enough pitcher to be okay. He has been a little bit of reverse splitsy, so the righties might be a little bit more dangerous against him than the lefties, so just keep that in mind. Getty has had some flashes of relevance in DFS, and then other times he's struggled. Texas is starting to put things together after like having like an abysmal stretch where they lost a bunch and just kind of went Yankees and Orioles and forgot how to hit. But getting like Lau back in the lineup and Josh Smith back in the lineup and Corey Seager back in the lineup, like these guys are starting to get healthy. They're starting to get better. It's just a matter of time before Jung is ready to go also. So and there's another weapon there. And even like some of the other young guys that were like really strong players in the World Series run last year have kind of cooled off and got sent back to the minors, but they'll be around probably for the playoff stretch. So you have a lot of potential on this team here. So I'm not playing uh Arrighetti against him, and Texas bats, I think, are in GPP. Same thing with Houston, but just remember, like Houston, don't fear the righties because of all these can be reverse splits. So let's look at the builds and get you on your way for your Saturday. So I'm going to try G-Rod, but again, if you just want to go balance, that is fine. Then, like I said, I'm taking the Mets, and I'm filling in with Washington just because I really like them against Dallas Keuchel. But if you want to go down for G Rod and put like Scott or Parker or Abbott in there, I completely get it. It's going to open up some more salary, and you can go for the higher bets. But I want more medium range. So for catcher, you can take Riley Adams or you can take Alvarez. For the Mets, Yepis there again. If you want to upgrade to Alonso, that's fine. Just go down for G Rod. Second base, I think might go one off there, but Iglesias, like I said, it was hot last night, fills in there nicely, and Garcia has is lefty and lefty, so I don't know if I'd go with him. So I'd probably go with the Mets guy on one off. Vientos, Lindor, Nemo, Lance Thomas, and then whoever else on don't fear Woods lefty on lefty. If it's for national, he's fine there. Don't fear Bader on the bottom of the lineup, or JD Martinez, like however you want to go there. Mets, Washington, those are the pitchers. G-Rod is who I think I want for the most raw points on the slate. But if you want to go another mid-range guy like G. Will, Scott, Abbott, I completely get it. GPP, give me Parker and Scott. Again, I think that Milwaukee has a decent total, but they've been not as good against left-handed pitching. Parker has been solid, so I feel good there, and I think Scott for the Mets against Colorado should be very good. So it's going to take a combination of the Reds and the Red Sox, and again, you don't have to pay up for some of the more expensive ones. There's some wraparound pieces from the Red Sox I like. There's some wraparound pieces from Cincinnati I like, but Ones I like the most are Candelario, India, Devers, Duran, and Hines. Just has been so hot, and his price still hasn't come up to match that yet. It might explode to 4 or 5K next week if the algorithm catches up to it, but it high low, get on board while you still can. So we got for you. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, put them in the chat below. Hit me at megaruler31 on Twitter/X. If you want more information on FSi DFS, you can go to the description of the video, and in there is the link to our website. We've got soccer going on today with and we've got NASCAR at Pocono. It's not going to have a we're going to do a speculation video on that because we don't have lineups yet. But if you want the true um, lineups and projections and everything, then you're going to have to get into the Discord. So it's like $6 for all day for like all the sports that we offer. So, we've got WNBA in there. I think we're not covering Summer League, but if you have any questions, um, the team's putting out some like notes and like giving some guidance in there for that. So many things in PGA Showdown still for the two um, tournaments that are going on this week. So much very low price of $6 just for the day. It's a great day to jump in. It's a great day to use your triple crown. If you still have one of those on a DK with so many sports going simultaneously. So don't forget about that. So thanks for watching. These videos helps back, like, subscribe to our channel, share with your friends, and I will see you next week for the next breakdown that I'm scheduled for.